U.S. officials have reportedly begun discussing the idea of expanding Donald Trump's Board of Peace for Gaza, potentially extending its structure and purpose to cover other global crisis zones. Sources told the Financial Times that the proposal could widen the board's mandate to include oversight roles in conflict situations like Ukraine and Venezuela. Diplomats have reportedly cautioned that this move could end up creating a parallel organization that competes with or even rivals the authority of the United Nations. One official told the Financial Times that the new Board of Peace is increasingly being viewed as a potential substitute for the United Nations in handling future international crises. The board is scheduled to be formally unveiled next week during the World Economic Forum Summit taking place in Davos, Switzerland. Donald Trump announced the creation of the Gaza Board on January 15 as part of the second phase of his wider Middle East peace roadmap. The newly established board is tasked with overseeing Gaza's temporary administrative setup and organizing the region's post-war reconstruction activities. Day-to-day governance will be managed by a Palestinian technical committee operating under the leadership of Nikolai Mladenov. The board's creation received formal authorization through a UN Security Council resolution that was passed in November 2025. On January 16, Trump publicly named the board's membership, which includes World Bank President Ajay Banga and United Kingdom's former Prime Minister Tony Blair. The membership list further features American property developer Steve Witkoff, Trump's senior advisor Jared Kushner, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. According to the Financial Times, U.S. officials have mentioned that Venezuela and Ukraine were discussed as potential future cases for the International Peace Board model. A senior official in Kyiv said that the idea of creating a separate Ukraine board chaired personally by Donald Trump is now part of the ongoing peace discussions. The proposed Ukraine board would bring together representatives from Ukraine, the European Union, NATO, and Russia to oversee and monitor any ceasefire deal reached between the sides. The board would guarantee enforcement of a 20-point peace plan that President Zelensky has said is already 90% ready, the official told the Financial Times. The official further stressed that the initial board should remain focused solely on Ukraine at the beginning, rather than pursuing global expansion too early. In a statement, a senior Ukrainian official said, and I quote, "This board will monitor and guarantee the implementation of the peace settlement," unquote. President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to meet with Donald Trump in Davos when the details of the Ukraine board are presented to global political leaders for the first time. Ukraine is also scheduled to sign an $800 billion, 10-year economic recovery agreement underwritten with support from the United States. Reports suggest that European leaders will urge President Trump to back multinational troop deployments to help stabilize Ukraine after the war. France and the United Kingdom have already agreed to join as co-chairs in Coalition of the Willing for post-war stabilization efforts. Several NATO member states are currently evaluating the option of sending armed forces to help guarantee and monitor any eventual ceasefire agreement. This comes as President Trump stated that Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready to make a deal, but Ukraine appears less ready to bring the war to an end. Trump told Reuters, and I quote, "I think Putin is ready to make a deal. I think Ukraine is less ready to make a deal. We have to get President Zelensky to go along with it," unquote. Meanwhile, Russia has intensified its series of attacks targeting civilian infrastructure across Ukraine over the course of this winter campaign.